Well, farmers in eastern Idaho are going out to their fields this week and finding red tags that look just like this. It says, "Attention, this diversion has been curtailed until further notice by order of the director of the Idaho Department of Water Resources." This is an issue that affects all of us here in eastern Idaho. It's become a very talked about issue over the past few weeks. We've had farmers calling us. Farmers have been calling Frank VanderSloot, the executive chairman at Melaleuca. It's kind of a complicated issue. There's a lot of facts and figures here, and it boils down to what for you, Frank?
Well, right now, the governor's office, the Department of Water Resources, is calling for 330,000 acres in Bonneville County and surrounding counties to be shut off. In the next 2 days, they're demanding that these wells be shut off. They're putting these red tags on there because if the farmer keeps running his wells, then there will be fines to pay and other legal ramifications. So 330,000 acres. It started out with over 500,000 acres. That's basically most of the farm ground in Bonneville County, a lot of it in Bingham County and these other counties. And they're demanding that it be closed down. And the curious thing about this, the absolutely crazy thing, in my opinion, yeah, people have been calling me, and I've been trying to get myself up to speed the last 3 days because it came out of nowhere. They got the letter that the wells were going to be turned off the 30th of a week ago. It didn't give them much notice. This has all been in dispute. It's been talked about, but now the Department of Water Resources in the governor's office is set out the order. They got to close their wells. That is really a tough deal because these farmers have already planted. The timing on this is horrible. It costs $2,000 an acre to plant potatoes or more, $2,000 to $3,000. And now they have to shut down the wells and give up that investment. Their land is mortgaged. The potato crops are mortgaged. Everything's financed. They will basically lose their farms if they turn their water off.
Okay, so why would the governor be doing this?
That's a real interesting question. And it's all in under the auspices of an agreement that was made in 2016 between the water users in Twin Falls and the water users up here in these upper counties. The Twin Falls folks have what they call senior water rights. They take the water from the river, and their water rights go way, way, way back. The people that drill wells and get water from the ground, their wells are more junior. They're like in the 1960s, and anything that is any water right that's after, I think, 1954 needs to be shut down according to the governor's office. And it's all based on this agreement. But the crazy thing is that they made this agreement, the water users down south and the water users here in our area made an agreement, the farmers there and the farmers here, based on the formulas that they were using at the time. They said, we can live with that. Yeah, that's something that's reasonable. So they signed up for it. It didn't say what formula was going to be used, but everybody understood that they keep using the same formulas. But now, 2 years ago, the governor's office changed the formula. The Department of Water Resources, they have a new director there, and he changed the formula. And there was nothing to protect the old formula. So now they're under this new formula, which is under one of the best. We're having one of the best water years that we've had in the last decade. There's more water than they know what to do with. In this kind of a year, they're deciding that they're going to close down 500,000 acres because of the new formula that have been introduced on the prerogative, I guess, of the Department of Water Resources. None of it makes any sense.
So they would say they're following through with this agreement that they had put in place a few years ago, and the farmers should have known?
I've talked to the governor, and the governor's position is he can't do anything about this because it's mentioned in the Constitution, and the Supreme Court has weighed in. But honestly, when I talk to the attorneys, they're saying that's not a truthful version of what the facts are. The governor's office has a whole lot of prerogative. The Department of Water Resources has the prerogative on how to interpret these laws. By the way, the law does give priority to the folks that have senior water rights. So that part's all true. But the governor, I'm going to plead that the governor exercise leadership here and that the legislature exercise some leadership and build some framework. What we need to have them do is build some framework around these agreements and around the laws so that we don't lose all of our agriculture in this area. And that appears to be the plan, to really, over time or immediately, shut off agriculture in this area. And the farmers now, they're meeting, they're trying to get agreements over the next few days. Supposedly they're going to try to work some things out. But they're at a real disadvantage because their only option, if they don't sign the agreement that's put in front of them, they lose everything. They lose their farm. And it has more repercussions because if they can't produce, then there's repercussions. I mean, dairies won't have feed. The dairies will close down. I mean, nobody can even imagine that. Feedlots. Budweiser can't make malt because, I mean, they can't grow these crops. Our economy in southeastern Idaho is highly dependent on this. The governor can't be serious. He appears to be. He's tagging these wells right now to shut down 330,000 acres immediately in the next 2 days. And if they don't make these agreements, they'll be shut down.
Well,
and it's crazy.
Who would this benefit then?
Well, that's the big question. The farmers aren't going to be hurt this year. This is to shut down now, this year, immediately, on one of the best water years we've had. If they're going to shut down water this year, then they're sure as heck going to shut it down in a drier year. So why would they be doing this? Who does it benefit? None of it makes any sense. Nobody's going to lose any farm ground. Nobody's crops are going to dry up because of this. There is a question about the aquifer. That's a legitimate question. They need to resolve some of those issues, but there's no immediate crisis. Other than, I mean, one accusation is Idaho Power. If they keep these agreements and they enforce these agreements, Idaho Power gets the water downstream. And I've heard a couple of people say that. I've heard others argue back and say, I don't know if that's really what's going on. But we do know that Idaho Power's attorneys, they're the biggest gorilla in the room, and their attorneys are very active on this, so they certainly have an interest. But you got to ask, do we really want to shut down agriculture in these 4 counties now? And there are other counties involved too, but the other counties have all capitulated and they've all signed the agreement. We got 3 or 4 holdout counties that haven't signed up yet because they're afraid if they sign these documents, it'll just get worse for them. And it's a matter of asking them, do you want to lose your farm today? Or you want to lose your farm in bits and pieces over the next 15 years? And they're at a loss. I mean, the government's got them in a headlock, and they don't know what to do about it. But I do know this, they surely wanted to keep this out of the press. And I'm not, I mean, if there's nothing to hide, why keep it all covered up? So hopefully the public will take an interest and at least pay attention to what's going on.
So your purpose today, you want the governor to act, the legislature needs to do something to prevent this from happening.
Even if they sign these agreements that they're being forced to sign today, it'll only kick the can down the road another year. And we need the governor to exercise some leadership with the legislature and come up with some parameters, some legislative parameters, some rules that these farmers can abide by. When they gave these water rights in the first place, back in the 1960s, people started investing in agriculture. They've built an enormous amount of infrastructure around counting on banks and ranching and farming and industry have built an infrastructure around the idea that we're going to have agriculture here because we have water here now. If you don't have water, it turns to sagebrush. That's what it was before they started adding water. And so if we're gonna take that away, it goes back to that. But a lot of people lose, I'm talking about billions of dollars, will be lost in the exercise if we don't address this because all that farming goes away. We do know this, that the Department of Water Resources has said that they plan, no matter what, to take away at least 6,000 acres, 12,000 acre feet, which is about 6,000 acres of farm every single year going forward, under the best of circumstances. Even that should worry people in this community because over time, first it's 6,000, then it's another 6,000 the following year and so on. until it gets, in 10 years, it'll be 60,000 acres under the best of conditions. But the agreements they're trying to make people sign even moves it a lot faster than that. So there are other solutions, and that is to be more efficient, have the water users invest in infrastructure that will keep this water from being wasted. I mean, a lot of water's thrown away because of just the sloppiness of how we're managing in a lot of these canal systems. I'm not an authority there, but that's what I'm hearing a lot of. We could be more efficient, and it will take a lot of hard work, but I'm hoping that our legislature's up to it to give some framework. I hope that folks will step up and protect agriculture in southeast Idaho. That's what I hope for.
All righty. Well, thank you for sharing your perspective, Frank, and we will continue to follow this issue and see where it goes.